Hello everybody and welcome back to this new episode of Textile with Alberto. Today we're going to talk about viscose. Is it synthetic? Is it natural? It's none of them. It's an artificial fiber. If you don't know anything about artificial fibers, as I did some years ago, stick around. I think you will enjoy what I got for you. Hey guys, I'm Alberto and I'm a textile technician that lives and works in Italy. I have decided to make this YouTube channel to share all my textile and leather knowledge with you, but without further ado, let's see the definition of viscose. According to the European regulation of textile fibers, viscose is a regenerated cellulose fiber obtained by the viscose process for filament and discontinuous fiber. As you can see from the European regulation, rayon is not cited. What is rayon? It's basically viscose, but the American one. Remember guys that viscose was invented in Europe, we will see in the history later. So when viscose reached the American coasts, the Americans started saying that it was called rayon because it reminds of the sun rays, because it was bright, it was lucent, it was very shiny. Nowadays there is a slight difference between rayon and viscose, but it's basically the same thing. As you can see from the classification of the fibers, we put viscose under artificial fibers. Why? What is the definition of artificial fibers? Artificial fibers are basically fibers that comes from the nature, in this case cellulose pulp, so trees, and are transformed afterwards. If you take for example a cotton or silk, it comes from nature but it's not chemically transformed. If you take for example polyester and polyamide, it's synthetic because in nature it doesn't exist. Also, if you can see from the microscope, viscose is very lucent, very bright and very straight. Enough with the definition, let's see the history of viscose. It all started during the silkworm crisis in the 19th century. Remember guys that the silkworm was dying because of disease in those years. Nobody knew what the problem was, so everybody was scared that silk was no longer used. So we all know that during the crisis it comes great opportunities. We actually see Hilaire de Chardonnay. Who is Hilaire de Chardonnay? It's not like grapes guys, it's not a wine. He's a French inventor and chemist that invented the first viscose. I'll tell you this fun story about viscose guys. Since he wanted to recreate silk by himself, Hilaire de Chardonnay just monitored the silkworm. So what does a silkworm do? The silkworm takes the mulberry leaves, chew them, digest them, and then it secretes some kind of filament. So the source material, the raw material, is basically the mulberry leaf. So Hilaire de Chardonnay started to get mulberry leaves, trees and cellulosic fibers and started to smash them into flasks and dissolve them into some kind of chemical. During one of his experiments, when he came back from work in the evening, his housekeeper spilled one of the flasks. He was so angry, he actually fired her and he was furious, but during the evening he realized that this substance over the table was very shiny, very bright, and he actually invented some kind of prototype of viscose. So as you can see guys, in most of the cases, great breakthroughs and discoveries are found out completely randomly. Due to the mistake of the housekeeper, Hilaire de Chardonnay invented viscose. Let's see now the producers of viscose nowadays in 2021. First, I would like to show you guys that, as you can see from the picture, cellulosic fibers like viscose are not as used as synthetic fibers, which is polyester or polyamide. 55% is very much, guys. So, as you can see, artificial fibers are used more or less 7% of the total consumption in the world. There are two types of producers. The wood for pulp production, and in this case we can see that North America, Canada, Russia, Brazil and India, South Africa and Indonesia are leading with the wood for pulp production. The most important producers of viscose filament yarns is China, is leading 66% of the total production in the world, which is really much guys. It's basically 2 out of 3 of the total production in the world. Then we have India, Indonesia, and then we have Europe, 9%. Why we have Europe? As you can see from the picture, Austria leads with 9% of the total production because of Lenzing. Lenzing is a multinational company that employs a number of people and produces still today modal, lyocell, tencel and a lot of copyrights on particular types of artificial fibers as viscose. Lenzing is leading in Europe and worldwide, so if you are interested in this company, I will leave the details of the company below. Anyway, let's see now the production of viscose. The question is how wood pulp is transformed into viscose yarns, so basically in garments, guys. It's quite easy. You take the wood pulp or cellulose pulp and you dissolve it in sodium hydroxide, caustic soda. And then from the alkaline bath, you take that to the carbon disulfide and then you add a still sodium hydroxide. Then from a sulfuric acid coagulation bath, you have the spinneret to spin all the coagulation into the yarn into cones. Since you start from the trees, actually viscose can be also certified FSC, which is the same certification it's used for Tetra Pak, for example, or for corrugated cardboard used for pizzas. And since viscose comes directly from trees, there are a number of trees in the world, so there is also viscose coming from bamboo, from pines and from other trees. So generically it's called viscose, but it can be also bamboo viscose or pine viscose and so on, so on. The rest of the textile supply chain is basically the same as cotton, silk, so the weaving process is the same, the dyeing process is the same. Let's see now very quickly the applications of viscose. Viscose is very used in clothing, especially in blends. It's also used for upholstery and other technical applications. Viscose is very used also for non-woven production, so all the disposable textiles that are used, for example, in hospitals or also other applications like tea bags. Enough with application, let's see now the features of viscose. Before looking at the pros and cons of viscose, let's answer this question. Is viscose environmental friendly? This is a very tough question indeed. Viscose is environmental friendly and is not environmental friendly. Let's see why. Viscose is actually biodegradable, so I would say that it's environmental friendly, but the process to manufacture viscose is not as environmental friendly as you might think, because you use hydrogen sulfide and carbon disulfide, and these actually are components that pollute the air and it's not so environmental friendly. But anyway, let's see now all the pros of viscose. Viscose has some great breathability, that's why it's used for summer and is used for t-shirt, clothing and in blends, for example with wool, with cotton or other cellulosic and synthetic fibers. It's called artificial silk because of its silky hand, and it's very smooth, guys. If you take and touch, for example, viscose, it's very smooth. Then it's hypoallergenic, that's why used for non-woven production, for example for disposable textiles used in hospitals. Unfortunately, viscose has some downsides. The first one is shrinkage. It's weak to sunlight and it's not resistant to mildew. So all these are features that are not so cool for viscose indeed, but viscose is a very good fiber, guys, so I would choose that anyway. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. I hope you have understood something about viscose and artificial fibers. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I will surely make other videos talking about polyester, polyamide. In the next videos I will talk about synthetic fibers, so after the synthetic fibers I will finish my fibers saga, so I will make other videos talking about different textile curiosities. Regarding the production, I will leave some links below along with my email, so if you have any kind of questions, I'm at disposal naturally. And yeah, as usual, stay safe, take care, I'll see you guys in the next video.